And welcome to the Coach's Corner post-game show of the NBA playoffs. I'm the coach, Dick Cox, joined by Dustin Phifer. Well, Dustin, been waiting a long time to get the playoffs back in Charlotte. Great start tonight, but disappointing finish.
Yeah, and an unbelievable start for the Bobcats. They come out in the first quarter. The crowd is raring to go like we all thought they would be. This city was excited to have playoff basketball back in this town. The whiteout, sold-out crowd, a record crowd here tonight at Time Warner Cable Arena, and the Bobcats come out and jump on the Heat. They play a great first quarter. Al Jefferson, even on basically people say 1 foot because the other foot is just hurting him so bad, comes out and scores a Bobcat playoff record 15 points in the first quarter. Looks like the Al Jefferson we've seen all year long. But then from there, Coach, it was kind of downhill. The Heat showed why they are two-time defending NBA champions, made the adjustments. Eric Spoelstra, the coach of the Heat, we talked to him after the game, did a great job making adjustments, and their team just plays so good defensively, and they play so good together. And with that, they jumped on the Bobcats, were able to have a much better second quarter, got a double-digit lead at halftime, and then came out and jumped on the Bobcats in the third quarter, and it was all downhill from there.
And again, this is a good basketball team. You know it's my least favorite team in the NBA, and I do not like the Heat, and I don't hold my feelings back on this, though. But they're a rested team. They're a team that can go on down the stretch. We're able to rest players for a long period of time. They've got, looking at their roster, and LeBron even said this tonight, they can go 15 deep. And, I mean, they got 15 guys who can flat-out play, where some people are doing good if they can find 15 to fill out a roster, though. But this team, I mean, they're good. They're playoff, tested. They're back-to-back champions and all like that, though. And, we wanted to get in the playoffs. Unfortunately, the matchup did not come out the way we did. Hopefully, we thought that with this team having some players' injuries, resting some players, we might be able to take advantage of that, though. But really, it was a disappointing night tonight at Time Warner Arena.
Well, it's just a much better team, and you said a good team. I call them a great team. I mean, back-to-back champions, and now they're going for a third. They went. This could be their fourth straight NBA Finals this year, and could be their third straight NBA title if they win it, which would definitely be considered a dynasty. So this team has everything rolling. You talked about how deep they go, Coach. And the thing about it is, a lot of their bench players are older veterans who don't even play that much throughout the year, but they're ready to go. They're professionals, and they know when it's their time to come in the game, they play well. And the thing about a lot of those people is, Coach, as good as they are offensively, like a Rashard Lewis or Ray Allen, those are not known as defensive players. But the way that Coach Spoelstra gets them to play team defense and the way that LeBron controls the team on the floor, it's just unbelievable to watch. And you as a coach, like you said, you're not a huge fan of the Heat, but you can appreciate good basketball, and that's what they put. They put on a clinic tonight, and it's unfortunate for the Bobcats and their fans, but this is just they're outmatched. Hopefully we can try to steal a game on Monday night, but this is just a Heat team who are on a mission to try to get their third straight title.
Well, the thing, and again, I admire this team from the standpoint they're great defensively.
Unbelievable.
That they are a dominating defensive team, and when you can come out the way they got the ball out of Kemba's hands by running at him, making him give it up, making him pass the ball. They took Al's game away, and then we've been talking about, Josh McRoberts stepped up tonight, had a good game, and I thought fought hard with 13 points tonight for the Bobcats, showed toughness when some toughness needed to be shown out there when the Bobcats were getting pushed around a little bit, though. But where in the world is Gerald Henderson? 6 points tonight, 2 out of 6 shooting. Mentally did not see him in the game. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, 3 points tonight. Cody Zeller, 0 points tonight. Just when these two guys get taken out, somebody's got to step up. And Henderson's running out of games, and I think, he may be running out of days in Charlotte.
Well, he may be running out of days, and he hasn't played well at all, and I'm not really high on Gerald Henderson right now. I think if this team had a better shooting guard, they'd be a better team. But at the same time, a lot of times I will blame him. I'm not going to put this on him. I know you're not putting the whole loss on him, but you understand.
No.
You're just saying that other guys need to step up, and he hasn't stepped up this series. But you go back to it, Coach, talking about when Al and Kimba, when they get double teamed like that and they get the ball taken out of their hands, other guys need to step up. Well, at the same time, when they're getting doubled, like you talked about, the great team defense of Miami, they rotate so well that even when they double, they get back and still make you shoot a contested shot with the shot clock running down. So it's just it's amazing to me to watch the team defense by this team, because when you talk about NBA stars, you talk about the flash, you talk about scoring, but you don't really talk about stars playing defense. And they play it as a team. LeBron plays as an individual. Dwayne Wade plays it as an individual. Chris Bosh did a good job against Al Jefferson tonight. So all of their stars play on both ends of the floor, and that's what makes them so great, and that's what I think is going to ultimately lead to them going back to the NBA Finals. I think depending on who they match up with in the West, I pick them to win their third straight title before the year starts, and I don't see how I can get off that bandwagon. If they play like they did tonight, nobody's going to beat them.
You're watching the Coach's Corner post-game show tonight, though, brought to you by our friends at the Beacon Drive-In, brought to you also by the West Side Club, by Concoction Ministries, Larry's Trophies, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and Vic Bailey Volkswagen makes our broadcast possible. Well, Dustin, the big thing I saw in the third quarter tonight was, as we mentioned, the Bobcats were working their tails off to get shots. The Heat were getting dunks. 40 points in the paint tonight. 40 out of 98 of their points came in the paint.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking a lot about the Bobcats, and we will get to them, but it's just when the Heat play that complete of a game, you got to talk about how well they played, and you got to give them credit. And like you said, Coach, you talked about the defense. That led to some easy buckets on the other end, but on the offensive end, we asked Coach Spoelstra after the game, and he said it. Their ball movement was so good tonight. I mean, they moved the ball around, and whether it was a wide-open three they were getting for Norris Cole, who had a couple he knocked down, or whether it was a dunk at the basket for LeBron, Birdman, Chris Anderson, whoever it was, their offense was just very efficient, and they were able to move that ball around. I mean, you look at LeBron's game, we know he took over the game, but his stat line is incredible. I mean, he's 30 points, he's 10 rebounds, he's 6 assists, he goes 9 of 10 from the line, and shoots, I believe, 10 of 18 from the field. You can't get more efficient than that in the NBA, and for him to control the game like that, not just scoring, but rebounding and assisting, that just shows how this offense can click. And like you said, Coach, when they go out, we didn't want to double LeBron, because as soon as they double LeBron, he makes the great pass to find somebody wide open, and that's what happened. They knocked down shots tonight.
Again, when you look at the scoring tonight for the Heat, they only had 3 players in double figures. They had LeBron with 30, they had Wade with 17, and Anderson with 12, but you get 4 from Haslam, you get 8 from Bosch, you get 8 for Chalmers, you get 8 from Ray Allen, you get 8 from Norris Cole, you get 3 from Jones. That adds up to 98.
Somebody said that they had 7 guys who had 8 or more points, and when you have people chipping in like that, that's really going to carry you to a win. And it's just, I think that their big three play so well together that they know they don't have to just go out there and try to score. They can facilitate. You talked about the guys coming off the bench who can knock down shots. Ray Allen, Norris Cole, Rashard Lewis. Those guys can come in and they're knockdown shooters. And when the stars get so much attention, they just wait in the right spots. They space the floor correctly, and they wait to knock down those wide open shots. And that's what they did tonight. And the Bobcats had no answer. I mean, the one thing I will give credit for, and Coach Clifford talked about it after the game, he put the reserves in the fourth quarter, and they fought hard. They played tough. They were able to get it back to a 13-point game when really it was a 26-point game late in that third quarter. So good to see them fight back. That's one thing we've praised this team all year long, is fighting till the end, and they're going to need that fight if they want to come out here and try to get a playoff win on Monday night. If not, it's going to be the end of the road.
We talked about this during the game, you and I both did, how crucial the last 3 minutes of the first half were. The Bobcats missed 4 free throws in a row, had a comedy of errors, and I don't know where in the world Gerald Henderson was. Final play of the half that LeBron just drives. It's a 7-point game, just gets through making 2 free throws to push it to 9. Gerald makes a nonchalant pass. LeBron intercepts it and then makes a stupid foul that even elementary kids don't even make. Goes over and fouls LeBron with 0.2 of a second to go from a 3-point line. Gives him 3 shots. So LeBron personally ends on a 5-0 run, last 3.3 seconds, and that pushes the lead from 7 to 12. And, you know, like LeBron said, and our feelings too, that carried over. And we always talk about, when I was coaching, first 3 minutes of the third quarter important. Well, that run that they went on to finish the half carried over to start the second half. They blew it up to a 26-point lead, and it's over.
Yeah, you make a great point. There's a couple of things at the end of that first half. The first half, the end of it was awful. And like you said, it pretty much was the game. Not only was it that 5-0 little spurt from LeBron where Jared Henderson fouls him, he gets 3 free throws, but go back before that where MKG and Henderson both missed 2 free throws, so they missed 4 in a row. That would have cut the lead to 5. They miss all 4 of those, and then the Heat come down and get a bucket, and then LeBron scores 5 straight to push it to 12. So that's just a terrible end to the first half. And then on top of that, LeBron made a good point in the postgame. If you've watched the first 2 games of this series, the Bobcats have trailed at the half, but they've made a great run to start the third quarter in both games in Miami. They came out and went on, I think, an 8-0 run in the first game to take the lead, and they were down 10 in the second game, and they came out and made a run and got back in this game. Well, and I think the Heat were aware of that, and tonight, once they got that momentum at the end of the first half, this time they didn't let it go. They came down, they put their foot to the pedal, and they went out there and they stepped on the Bobcats' throat, and before you knew it, like you said, it was a 24, 25-point game, and the life had been sucked out of the crowd, and it was pretty much a wrap.
Well, again, I will tell you this as a coach. Again, when you give a championship team you go from a single-digit to double-digit lead at the half. That is huge. That is huge. And when you've got a young Bobcat team, the way they close that half on a comedy of errors, they just came out flat. They came out, well, I won't say what I told you during the game, how flat they were, but they were flat, and the crowd was flat. And the Heat took advantage of the opportunity, licking their chops when they saw the way the thing was and jumped on it, and to their credit, they did what a championship team should do, came in here and embarrassed the home team.
And that's just it. They took the record crowd out of the game, like you just said. And you get down 12 at the half, and you're thinking, okay, the Bobcats fans are thinking, we've made runs in the third quarter, Miami. Let's come out, get off to a hot start, and get back in this game, get the crowd back into it. But again, the Heat didn't let that happen. I don't think the Bobcats scored until about 8 minutes left in the third quarter. So they went 4 minutes within that first third quarter not scoring. The Heat pushed the lead, and then there's no way for the crowd to get back into it. And it's just tough. It's disappointing. I mean, we need to talk about the Bobcats a little more. We're talking about the Heat a lot, but that's just how good the Heat were tonight. And I just think they made the Bobcats look bad, but I think the Bobcats really aren't that bad. That's just how good the Heat are.
Looking at it by quarter, feeling pretty good at the end of the first quarter. Bobcats up 27-23. Heat outscored the Bobcats 35-19. Second quarter, outscored them 28-19 third quarter, and then the Heat ended up losing the fourth quarter because the Bobcats again took out. And when we talk about the fourth quarter, Gerald Henderson did not play in the fourth quarter. Kimball Walker did not play in the fourth quarter, and we did not. He left the game hurt a little bit. We don't know how he was though. Al did not play any in the fourth quarter, and MKG didn't. So that's four starters did not play a minute in the fourth quarter, and the Bobcats actually won that quarter 20-12.
Yeah, and you got to look at it. The Bobcats were down big going to that fourth quarter, so I think Clifford was just saying, hey, let's go with the reserves. If we get back in it, we get back in it. If not, we'll get some rest for our guys. And they were able to push the league down to 12 or 13 with like 3 or 4 minutes left, but that's as close as they got. But good to see those reserves fighting. Again, I mean, we talked about this a little bit off air before we came on, and it's one thing we got to mention. Everybody's probably disappointed that we got matched up with the Heat, and we may possibly get swept again for the second time on our playoffs. But we were talking about it, off the air. This may be a good thing for this team, just because if you would have been matched up with any other team in the NBA, and you see how close the other series are around the NBA, the Bobcats probably would have had a chance to win any other series in the East if they matched up with a different team. But this series against the two-time defending champions really shows what your deficiencies are as a team, and really shows what you need to build on in this offseason as you go into this new Hornets name. And I think with the cap room that they have, with the core they have coming back, with Kemba and Al and all the young guys they have on this team, I think they can really see what they need to address in this offseason to not only next year make the playoffs, but then say, hey, let's be a contender in the playoffs. And you see it in the series tonight. We've talked a little bit about Gerald Henderson. I think we need to upgrade at that shooting guard spot, especially if you're still going to stick with MKG, who we've seen has played some pretty good defense in this series, even though it's against LeBron James. We've seen that he's got some potential, and it's fine to stay with him at the small forward, even though his offense isn't that great. But if you're going to go with him as small forward, you got to have a shooting guard who can really score and fill it up. And Henderson hasn't filled that role. I know we just signed him to a contract, but if you want to be a better team, we've seen it all night tonight. If they take Al and Kemba out of the game, you got to have that third scorer, and right now the Bobcats don't have that. And so this series may show them in the offseason what they need to address to go get that third scorer.
And looking right here at the stat sheet, Henderson tonight was 2 out of 6 from the floor. MKG 1 out of 6. And again, I'm not just pointing a finger at him. Like you said, it exposed some things. Cody Zeller showed he's still got a long way to go. He scored 0 points tonight, and we saw him, instead of trying to muscle the ball up, take goofy shots because of, and again, that's a Miami two-time championship team that makes you do that. Again, I'm not real happy right now when you look back at Gary Neal and Luke deal. At this point, I'd rather had Sessions back right now. I don't think these guys have brought to the table what I'd like to have seen them bring. When people were taking Kemba out of the games early in the year, Sessions came in, gave them a different element. You can play both of them together, and that's something else to look at right now that I don't think we're getting any production out of them. And another surprise guy tonight, Chris Douglas Roberts, 17 points for the Bobcats, quietly went about and was their fourth double-figure score tonight.
Yeah, I think CDR is definitely, he keeps playing like this, he's going to earn him his spot. Coming from the D-League, he's probably going to earn him a spot on this team off the bench again next year. But again, if we go back, as much as we talk about Henderson and the people who have been disappointing, you kind of touched on it. My most disappointing player of the series so far is Gary Neal. And the reason why is because coming into this playoff series, he has the most playoff experience on the team. Not only the most playoff experience, he was just playing in the finals with the San Antonio Spurs last year. Now, I know the Spurs are a different animal, and they've got a system that really clicks and can make guys better. But Gary Neal's playing pretty well to end the season in the regular season. And when you come into a playoff experience, you really need that scoring off the bench, especially if Henderson's shooting the way he's shooting. So very disappointing. And Neal almost looks lost out there. And it's just disappointing to see, because I think coming into the playoffs, our bench was playing really well, and I thought they could give us something. But now in this series, and it could be maybe the Miami Heat, just the impact they had, but the bench has been pretty terrible.
Well, and the thing I look at, I knew nothing about Gary Neal when he came in. You had to fill me in on that, though, so I'm pleading ignorance on that, though. If the guy's a shooter or scorer, you got to be able to come off screens. Yeah. You got Ray Allen. You got some other guys that are term shooters and all. This guy does not come off any screens or anything. He's getting no shots. He was 2 out of 8 from the floor tonight, though. He cannot create his own shot off the dribble. He's not big enough, but I don't see him doing anything to get open to give them any offense. And, a guy they brought in to bring instant offense hadn't had it.
Well, you said 2 of 8 for Neal. Well, that just goes in combined for your 2 shooting guards, your first 2 shooting guards, Henderson and Neal, combined 4 of 14. And the thing, go back to Henderson, the thing with me is you're 2 for 6. If you're a captain of this team and you're the starting shooting guard and it's the playoffs and Al and Kimber are double teaming every play, don't you think you should take more than 6 shots? Or how about 2 weeks ago when Al's hurt and Kimba's hurt and you don't step up and you don't take more than 6 or 7 shots a game? That's unacceptable for me. If you're going to be a captain starting shooting guard on this team, you got to be a guy to go out there. If you're one of the most veteran guys on this team and one of your other captains goes down, you got to be the guy to step up. And I'm sorry, but if anybody that watches this game tonight and they see Al get doubled on the block and they see Kimba get trapped right at half court where the ball has to leave his hands, and you're Gerald Henderson and you only get 6 shots, something's not right there. So either 1, he's not being aggressive enough, or 2, his game's not good enough to get more shots. And that's something that he needs to work on. And if he can't improve on that, I'll say it again, I'm personally in the boat in this offseason of going and getting a shooting guard and trading Henderson. That's just personally my feeling. I think if we had a better shooting guard on this team could be a top 4 or 5 team in the East. And I just think if we can get that in the offseason, I'll go ahead and throw out a name. I know it's a rumor, but I'd like to get Gordon Hayward from the Jazz. If you can get a shooting guard who can demand more attention and score the ball, this team is going to be so much more dangerous come next season.
Hey, we got one player from the Jazz that helped us. I wouldn't mind going back and dipping in that well again, though. But you know, too, that I'm one of the – for years I've been one of the biggest Gerald Henderson supporters.
Love the guy. He's a great guy.
Pulling for him, Duke graduate and all like that, though. But, I got to be honest and call it like I see it. He's not getting it done. And, I mean, even the people from Miami made the comments. The national media said this team is a shooting guard away from being a solid top 4 team in the East.
And the thing is, look how good Henderson was playing at the end of last year. I know it was a totally different team, and he relied more to score because we didn't have Al and Kimba's improved this year. But he was playing some of his best basketball to end the season last year, which is why he got the new contract. But now it seems like he's digressed back to the old Henderson. He has to have 1 dribble to shoot. He can't shoot 3-pointers. And honestly, in this league, your shooting guard's got to be able to knock down from the outside. And he's been terrible on 3-point shooting all season long. So this is not a bash Gerald Henderson session, so I don't want it to be that way. We go back and talk about it. He's one of our favorite guys in the locker room. He's a nice guy. He's a great teammate. I mean, he's good to his guys, but on the court, when you're a captain and you're one of the most veteran, experienced guys on this team, he's been here the longest. He's one of the guys who's been on this Bobcats team the longest since the transition and makeover. He's got to step up, and he hasn't. And again, I think we're being hard on the Bobcats just because it is the playoffs and we want to win. But again, I think in the end of the day, you got to look over there and say, that is the 2-time defending champs, and that is a great basketball team. And if you don't play a perfect game, you're not going to beat them, and that didn't happen tonight.
And again, I'm looking at the roster. This is by far the most talented team in the NBA right now. And as much as I hate to say it, then they've got a chance to make a three-peat this year, though, because the other teams are beating each other up. Going with it right there, though. All right, I'm not going to be any more critical tonight, though. Let's go now and get your take. This team's down 0-3. What have they got to do to be the first Bobcat team to ever win a playoff game? I mean, we don't want the Bobcats to close out being 0 for playoffs and have never won a playoff game.
Well, listen, this loss is very demoralizing. I think everybody knew in the arena that this was maybe the best chance to get a win. I think the team felt really good after coming off a close loss in Miami where they had a chance to steal one. You had the crowd ready to go, and again, I think the crowd will be ready to go on Monday night. This team's going to be supported. The games are sold out. Everybody loves the season that they had. So really the focus, and I think Coach Phifer will have them ready to play, it's not about the series anymore. It's about coming out here on your home court on Monday night, focusing on one game. Will you win the series? It's a huge long shot. I'll go ahead and say no, but the players aren't going to think that way. You just got to, and LeBron kind of said it after the game, one game at a time. I know that's a cliche, but they need to come out. They need to not worry about anything else. They don't even need to worry about the performance that happened out here on this court tonight, and they need to play their style of basketball. They need to move the ball like Coach Clifford said. They need to be better on defense, and they just need to come out here and lay it all on the line in front of what's going to be a sold-out crowd and try to get that first win in playoff history. And then you know what? Then you go from there. You keep your season alive. You maybe go down to Miami and play another close game. So, again, just worry about taking care of business at home, and then we'll move on to the next game. And I know that's such a cliche, but you can talk about it as a coach. You can't look about it as, oh, we're down 0-3, we got to win 4 in a row. You got to look at it, we're down 0-3, we got to win run in a row, or our season's going to be over. So, really, just look to Monday night and leave it all out on the court.
Well, it's again like when you get blown out, what I used to tell my teams too, don't look at the scoreboard. Well, if I'm Coach Clifford, I tell them don't look at the series record. Right. First thing is there's a big word called pride. We didn't play well last game. We're at home. We owe our fans a better effort than we gave tonight. But more importantly, you owe it to yourself. You're a better team than you showed on this first home game here. Let's go out. Let's play well. No pressure on us right now from the standpoint that nobody expects us to do anything. People are expecting us to get swept right now. We got a chance to come in here, play loose, play hard, get a win, and then we'll go from there. And just take it like that, though. But, again, that's one thing you want to do is I'm sure is as disappointed as we are in their performance, is as disappointed as 19,633 record people were here tonight, all wearing white T-shirts. That team in there is disappointed, too, because they've been looking forward to getting a home playoff game, to showing off in front of all these people, a national audience, and they laid an egg tonight, though.
They did lay an egg, and what we've seen all year is that Coach Clifford is a great coach, and his staff has his guys ready to play regardless if they come off a big win or regardless if they come off a disappointing loss. So I totally expect this team to be ready to go. I think they come out hot again, but the thing about it is on Monday you got to come out and sustain it. If you get off to a good start, you got to keep that good start, because if you have one mental lapse in a game against the Miami Heat, it's not just, oh, hey, we're going to lose the lead and be down 2 or 3. We saw it tonight. It's, hey, we're going to lose the lead and be down double digits. So you can't have those lapses. And then I flip it to the other side for Monday night, Coach, for the Miami Heat. I'm sure there are a lot of fans sitting out there going, well, the Heat are up 3-0. They're probably just going to take a night off on Monday night, and they just know even if they lose that game, they're going to win the series. I think it's the complete opposite. I think the Heat are sitting in that locker room right now and going, hey, look around the NBA and look at all the other playoff series. Every other series is either 2-1 or 2-2. Every team has won a game besides the Bobcats in the playoffs, and they're sitting over there going, you know what? We come out here on this court on Monday night and we get a win, we're going to have a lot of rest before that second round. And a lot of rest is key for this team, because even though they have a great talented roster, a lot of them are older veterans. So to get that extra rest is huge to the Miami Heat, especially when you're going to make a deep run into the playoffs. So I think they're licking their chops to come out and close it out on Monday, which is why it's going to make it so tough for the Bobcats.
Bobcats have got two choices. They can mail it in on Monday night and say, hey, we've had a great year. We won 43 games. We appreciate, the things that we've done this year. Or basically, it's gut check time. It's right now. This is time to show what you're made of and what your character is. You're down. You've been bullied. You've been kicked in the face. You've been kicked in the mouth. You can roll over and play dead, or you can come back in here and give it your best shot on Monday night. And personally, I think that's what Coach Clifford's going to have them do, where they're going to be coming back, because that's what they've shown all year long, though. But again, when you're down, this is gut check and character check to show what you're made of. Are you going to roll over and play dead like the Heat wants you to and get this series over, or are you going down swinging?
Well, I was just going to say exactly what you said. I think the Bobcats only have one option, and we're not saying they're going to go out there and win the game, but personally, from us covering this team all year and seeing how hard they fight, I think there's no way on earth that they come out here and mail it in. I think they're going to be ready to play. I think they're going to fight hard. I think they're going to lay it all on the line. I do expect the game to be a lot closer on Monday. Again, I'm not predicting a Bobcats win, but I do expect this team to be ready to play, and I do expect them to put maximum effort out there on the floor.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up tonight from Time Warner Cable Arena. He's Dustin Phifer. I'm the Coach Dick Cox. Our show has been brought to you by our friends at the Beacon Drive-In, by Larry's Trophies, by the West Side Club, by the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, by Concoction Ministries, and Vic Bailey Volkswagen. We'll be back on Monday night, and hopefully we'll have a better report. Tonight's score was the Heat 98 and the Bobcats 85. We got one more chance to take a swing at these guys. Let's come back and see if we can do it on Monday night.
A lot on the line Monday night, trying to get to extend your season, trying to get the first Bobcats playoff win in history, and trying not to let it be the last Bobcats game in history before we switch to the Hornets. So, like you said, let's come lay it all on the line and let's see what happens on Monday night.
We'll see you then. Good night, everybody.